Hi, welcome to the IHC Craft Room. I'm Mary. In today's video, I'm excited to show you how I made this beautiful dough bowl candle. I used some crackling wood wicks and these beautiful rose toppers for Mother's Day. I can't wait to show you how I made this beautiful candle. I've never made a candle like this before, and I was a little intimidated, but it turned out so beautifully. I can't wait to see how it burns. So stick around till the end, and we are going to test how this burns. But first, let me show you how I made it. Grab all your stuff and let's get crafty. This is Mary. Welcome to the IHC Craft Room. For materials, we'll begin with Freedom Pillar Wax, Container Soy Wax, this stunning 10x7 wood dough bowl that I picked up from Rama Candles. Check out their link in the description. Crackling Booster 0.4 to 0.375 wood wicks, so they're small. My BFFs, the Wick Stickums. Clean cotton fragrance oil. Oh boy, do I love this fragrance oil. And red liquid candle dye. For tools, we'll begin with parchment paper, paper towels, a kitchen scale, a pot holder, a 4-cup large glass measuring cup, a 5-ounce glass measuring cup, a temperature gun, a heat gun, some heat-resistant gloves, a pair of rubber gloves, some wood stir sticks, wick trimmers, and some pretty little rose silicone molds. Alrighty, let's get this party started by measuring out some wax and of course our fragrance oil, and we'll break it down with some candle maker math. Full disclosure, I have zero idea how much wax I'm gonna need for this wood bowl, so after some fancy calculations, also known as panic guessing, I'm targeting 600 grams of combined wax and fragrance oil for the main pour. As is my usual routine, I'm going to target a 10% fragrance load, which means I'm going to need 545 grams of container wax and 55 grams of fragrance oil to fill our wood vessel. To understand how I got to these wax and fragrance oil targets, check out this video on how to properly calculate your fragrance load. Now, for the rose toppers, I'll be targeting 100 grams of pillar wax, and I won't be adding any fragrance oil, but I will add 5 drops of red liquid dye so that we get some really vibrant and sturdy red roses. Okay, so let's measure out 545 grams of container soy wax and set it aside. And then we'll do the same with pillar wax, but we're only going to need about 100 grams for our roses. At least that's what I'm targeting. Awesome. Now I'm going to protect my scale with some parchment paper and paper towel, and then we'll measure out 55 grams of this super comforting clean cotton fragrance oil. Oh, I love the smell of this. Now let's get this beautiful vessel ready. Since this dough bowl was brand new, I just gave it a good dry wipe to remove any dust. If you're working with reclaimed or used bowls, give them a thorough clean and make sure that they're completely dry before pouring your wax. Next, we'll get our wicks in place, but first I like to cut my wood wicks down considerably so that they're just a bit taller than the vessel walls. I mean, you don't need to do that, but I find it easier to work with shorter wicks. I don't particularly enjoy maneuvering around long AF wood goalposts when I pour my melted wax. But hey, if you aren't as much of a whiner as I am, feel free to leave them long and irritating. Go right ahead, I don't care. Now that I have them trimmed down, I'm going to insert each wick into a wick clip and then attach them to a wick stickum. Now in terms of wick placement, I know that I want my roses to be off to one side and I don't want any wicks in their midst, you know what I mean? Like I want some roses to survive the first burn, so I'll place a wick near them but not within them. I also want to make sure to keep my wood wicks far from the vessel wall, cause you know, wood, fire, no mi piace. Okay, great. I like this placement with the wicks evenly spaced on the left side, leaving the right side open for our roses. Bueno, we're all done prepping. Let's get to melting our wax, shall we? The wax manufacturer suggests melting in 30-second bursts, but I have zero patience for that, so I started with a full minute in the microwave, gave it a good stir, and then hit it again for another minute. After that, I switched to 30-second intervals, stirring each time until the wax was fully melted and reached the recommended temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm wearing heat-resistant gloves that I snagged for under $10 at Michael's. Thank you, 40% off coupon. Totally worth it because this handle gets hella hot, so watch your hands. Now that we've reached 160 degrees Fahrenheit, let's mix in that fresh from the dryer fragrance oil and stir it really well for 2 to 3 minutes. The goal here is to get the oil fully blended in so your candle smells amazing from first light to last burn. So make sure you really do mix it for the whole 2 to 3 minutes. It's worth the patience, trust me. Now let's go ahead and slowly pour the wax into the vessel, making sure we get close to the top, but that we leave a decent sized gap. Beautiful. So it turns out that my target of 600 grams of combined melted wax and fragrance oil was way too much, like way too much. So much so that I grabbed an 8-ounce element jar and used another small crackling wood wick to make an overflow candle. Now don't worry, I'm not complaining because I love this scent, so another candle is welcome, but I am seriously unimpressed with my panic guessing because I was supremely off target. Oh well, let's move on to those roses, shall we? Let's skip on past the part where I melt the pillar wax in the microwave, but keep in mind that this wax needs to reach a temperature of 190 degrees Fahrenheit, not 160 like the container wax. So be sure to reach 190 before mixing in the 5 drops of red liquid candle dye. I want this color to be really vibrant, which is why I'm using 5 drops. So don't forget to stir for at least 2 to 3 minutes so that color binds really well to the wax. Before we get to pouring, let's take a few seconds to chat about why I'm using pillar wax instead of just using container wax for everything. Container wax is cozy and clingy, perfect for jars, but try popping a rose out of a mold with it and that's Snap City. For sure, I'd end up destroying my roses and that is no bueno, mi amigos. For crisp, clean shapes that actually survive unmolding, pillar wax is definitely the way to go. Now I'm just going to finish up pouring this melted wax into these silicone molds and then I'll leave them to cure overnight. It has now been about 24 hours since I made this candle and wowee, she's a beauty. A silky smooth top, no sinkholes, no imperfections at all. The wax is adhering beautifully to the vessel wall. I mean, I can't complain. This is a beautiful result. I'm thrilled. And this little overflow candle turned out just as smooth and beautiful. Now let's see if we're successful with demolding the roses. Don't get me wrong, I know pillar wax is the way to go because it's literally made for this purpose, but I was still hella nervous demolding these little ladies. The last thing I wanted was to break off some rose petals. In case you missed my latest whipped wax candle video where I massacred a bunch of bunnies and chicks, you can catch it here, but frankly, I'm still not over the carnage. However, it is super clear that pillar wax is solving that problem. These roses popped out with zero issue, not one tiny break. I am so pumped. Before we add these roses on top, I'm going to lay them out and figure out where I want to place each rose. Then we'll tag in our friend Henry the heat gun to help melt a layer of wax on top of the candle. This way we can drop our roses into the melted wax and it'll work like glue, holding the roses on top of the candle so they don't fall off. Just remember, those roses are made of wax too, so work quick and don't point Henry at your roses unless you want some melty drama on your hands. Oh man, am I pleased with how this turned out. It is just so pretty. I bet my mom would have loved it. We've got one last step before we test how this candle performs. Let's go ahead and trim down these wood wicks so that they're super short. Wonderful. All right, now that this candle's all set, it's time for a burn test. Let's go. Let's go ahead and light this trio of wicks up and say bye-bye to these beautiful little roses and hello to some crackling cozy ambiance. At the 30-minute mark, I have a nice little melt pool and wow, this scent throw is already something to be proud of. At the 1 hour mark, we've got an excellent melt pool and we've already got some roses in the mix and that scent throw remains super strong. 2 hours in and this melt pool is almost at the vessel wall. I am super pleased. This candle is burning exactly as I hoped it would. And at 3 hours, we have a full melt pool on the left side with a few roses still intact on the right. Wow, this worked out exactly as I'd hoped, and the scent throw is just out of this world.
So what do you think? It actually was super successful. I'm so jazzed with the final results. I can't believe I actually made it to the vessel walls. Like, this entire thing would have been covered if not for where I placed my wicks, and that was strategic. I did that intentionally. I wanted some of my roses to live on to see another day, and they have. But overall, I got an excellent scent throw. My melt pool made it all the way to the edge of the vessel. I really couldn't be more thrilled. This was super successful. And let me tell you that this fragrance oil has a phenomenal scent throw, both cold and hot. And if you like the smell of freshly laundered laundry and like fresh towels, oh boy, you're going to love this fragrance. I absolutely adore it. So I would love to hear what you think about this in the comments below. If you're interested in learning more about candle making, check out one of these videos. And don't forget to subscribe so that we can continue to get crafty together. Toodaloo!